Hi there. So I'm back. This will be my second video. And today, as promised, I'd like to talk to you about my diagnosis, how I got to it, and how I was able to accept it. My diagnosis, if you haven't seen my previous video, was that of moderately severe depression. And to get out of it, I had to take a lot of therapy and started medication as well. Good news is I'm doing better, and here's how I got to my diagnosis. So, even though my diagnosis was official this summer, what I realized was something wasn't right in how I was reacting to circumstances, situations, people, events, um, in a long time, in fact. There was a lot of resentment brewing inside me. I was constantly on the edge. I was angry all the time. And perhaps the only times I could find myself feeling a little bit more sane was when I had those happy moments with my son. And I had some good bonding moments with my family. But really, there was just a lot of tension, and a lot of big things had happened. Um, Pregnancy, um, delivery, um, trying to bring up an infant, raise an infant, and being almost solely responsible for that, trying to manage family as I go through that, getting back to work, and facing some extra pressure because I was out for 6 months as a maternity leave. Um, Facing politics at work, and longer commutes to get to my son, and him falling sick because he was obviously at daycare and he was starting to get sick, and how do I manage that along with work. um, and then there were issues that I had, in terms of communicating with my husband. There was always, it just seemed like nothing was working. And then we decided, circumstances, cards fell in place in the sense that we made a move back to Canada, and I landed a job, and it was pretty quick. Um, that will be another chapter, another day. But essentially, all those things that were seemingly great to people who were looking from the outside and from a lens who didn't know me, external lens, they would think it's life is rosy, and I was just angry every single moment of my being. I just couldn't find the happiness. I just couldn't, even if I was happy, I was too scared to be happy. And I was very good at criticizing people. I started to realize that I wasn't seeing the good in anyone. I was just trying to find where they could go wrong and how soon could I point it out. And so these were some of the telltale signs where I was very, I was generally not happy, cribbing. B, I was trying to find faults with people, even completely innocent. Maybe they're strangers, but it was easy for me to target them, which was not a natural trait in me. Um, I had a lot of resentment against my husband, for good or for bad, or for the wrong or the right reasons. Those could be debated, but I did. Um, and I I wasn't happy at the jobs, and the move and settling in and everything was causing a strain on me, and my acceptance of my situation wasn't there. And so in the back of my mind, I could tell that things were not right. And then COVID hit, and then I had to take time off from work to stay with my little one because daycares were closed. And it was like an avalanche of emotions. I was with him 16 hours a day, all his waking hours, trying to manage him, take care of the home front. And I started to grow more and more numb as the summer progressed. I couldn't feel anything anymore. There was no happiness, there was no sadness, there was no anger. I just used to sit and stare and wish that I was alone, wish that I couldn't go anywhere. And so these were some of the things that told me that my mental health is taking a real beating right now, and I needed to go and talk to someone. So one of the first things that I did was I talked to my sister. I shared my concerns with her, and I talked to my husband. He could see signs, but I wasn't willing to talk. Like I said, I had resentment against him, and so it didn't help me even if he was suggesting. But given that I knew that he's a well-wisher, so given that two of my greatest supporters were saying it to me, made me realize that perhaps what I was thinking was actually right. So I talked to a therapist. I started talking to my therapist, and I also took a few quizzes and understood my mental health. And when I realized I was depressed, I was really sad. I mean, there was depression, but then there was sadness that I was depressed. So can you imagine that? Like, to think that, how do you fathom that you could be depressed? How do you fathom that you are so weak that you're feeling depressed? And how could you feel like that? Yeah, I let myself down. That's what I was feeling. And I wanted to get out of that. I wanted to feel a little bit of self-worth. I wanted to feel emotions again, even if it was just sadness. I wanted to feel it. And that's my journey of how I came around to understanding my mental health, and how I came around to accepting it, in that I was desperate. I realized that I was super duper desperate to get out of that numbness. I did not want to have that resentment anymore. I did not want to have that anger in me anymore. I wasn't that person. I don't know when things started to get to the worst, but they did. And I did not want that anymore in my life. And good news is, I got the help, and I'll be sharing even more stories about it. So I just wanted to, I don't know how you guys feel about me sharing or how much detail you want. So I'd love to get some feedback. Please drop a line in the comment section below. And I'll share more stories as I go on about some of the challenges that I had, like what, in the sense of where that resentment brews and why did I let it get out of control? What were the faults in me? And again, one of the things that I want to highlight in my blog, in my vlog, is I want to share with you things from my perspective, even if it seems like I am not bringing in someone else's perspective, as in the second parties who I had a resentment with or what I did, because this is a journey that I want to discover or share with you, in the sense of things that I could have done to help myself, irrespective of what my surroundings were and currently are. Things that I can help myself with. And in that sense, to that extent, I also want to share about things that I'm doing currently to feel good, to feel energized, to feel satisfied, to feel excited about life. So I'll see you soon in a little bit. Maybe in a few days for the next video. Okay? See ya. Bye.